Good morning. I'm John Gemma, your Kelowna Lake Country Green Party candidate. And this is my home office where I've been doing a whole lot of my work since COVID-19 got going. And until I figured out that I've got to get these monitors up, it was pretty hard on my back. This has been an interesting experience. I've never had sciatica before, and I did now, but I think I'm getting over it. Now, one of the things that you've all probably heard recently is a talk about this thing, which is unfortunately kind of backwards due to the camera, but we see that PST label. This is a receipt for supplies for a little rescue kitten I recently adopted. So, paid some PST. Now, the Liberals are promising to get rid of the PST for 1 year as an economic stimulus. And one of the arguments they're making is that it's going to be good for low-income people because sales taxes are regressive. They're right, sales taxes are regressive. And what we mean by regressive when we talk about this as economists is that as a percentage of your income, you spend more on something. So lower income people spend a greater share of their income, and as such, they will be spending a greater share of their income paying a sales tax. So if you reduce the sales tax, consequently, you are going to reduce the share of a low-income person's income that they spend on the tax. So in that sense, when Wilkinson and the Liberals say that eliminating the PST for a year is a progressive move from a tax perspective, they're right. Now there's, as always, devils are in the details, and it's important to consider alternatives. So one of the details, of course, that really isn't mentioned is that in terms of absolute dollars, the people in lower income are going to have less savings than people with higher income. And that starts to set up the ideas of an alternative. So if people with lower income spend a greater share of their income, which stimulates the economy, then maybe we should be giving people with lower income more money so they could spend it, rather than cutting taxes, cutting a sales tax where most of the actual dollar benefit is going to go to the people with higher incomes. And that kind of a thing we already do with other policies. So our federal government has a GST, which we don't like, but it's built with the GST rebate, which is targeted at lower income people. So it's recognized that just like the PST, the GST is regressive. And how do we respond to that? Well, we target those people who are affected most negatively by it and give them some money back. Similarly with the carbon tax that Gordon Campbell's Liberals introduced. Economists by and large think carbon taxes are a great policy, a great way to combat climate change because they create incentives to use less fossil fuel. But they're regressive because just like a sales tax, lower income households spend a greater share of their income on energy, and consequently, that makes it a regressive policy. How do we get around that? Well, when the carbon tax was introduced here in British Columbia, the money was rebated in a progressive way, reducing the taxes for the low-income households more than for higher-income households. So we offset that regressive impact by directly addressing the people who were hit by that regressive impact, the low-income households. And so that suggests that if we really want to boost the economy by getting people to spend, we should give money to the people who are really going to spend it. And that would be low-income households. High-income households, we give them a tax break. They're not going to spend as much of it. So it's not going to be as big a boost to the economy on a dollar-by-dollar basis as it is if we give the money to low-income people. So while cutting the PST is technically a progressive move in that it removes a regressive policy, there are other ways to help those with low income and boost the economy. And we should really think about those. It's unfortunate that That does not seem to be part of the conversation that the Liberal Party has. They have just glommed onto this one thing to make it an election promise and aren't really talking through all of the details and figuring out whether there's actually a better way. Thanks for listening. Chat next time.